The late evening sun slanted through the floor-to-ceiling windows of apartment 304. It was a warm, honeyed light specific to Mumbai sunsets that caught the dust motes swirling above the beige modular sofa. The door clicked open. Laya kicked off her strappy black sandals. The clack-clack echoed in the quiet flat. She didn't call out, "I'm home." She never did anymore. At 20, she felt she had outgrown such domestic rituals. She was wearing the dress. A crimson off-shoulder bodycon. It was tight through the waist, flaring just enough at the knee to suggest movement even in stillness. It clung to her like a second, skin-bold, defiant, shouting for attention. Her gold hoops swung as she tossed her oversized tan tote bag onto the sofa cushion. It missed the armrest by an inch. Landing with a heavy thud dot inside that bag lay the debris of her day, a half-empty iced coffee, a crumpled tissue stained with lipstick, and something else. Something heavier. Something wrapped in a glossy shopping bag tucked deep at the bottom. Asterisk Anjali, her mother, stood by the dining table. She was folding a stack of freshly laundered curtains. Anjali was 45. She was a woman of quiet power. Her cream linen salwar kameez whispered with each movement. Her low bun was immaculate, not a strand out of place. She was a professor of literature, a woman who dealt in truths, not fictions. She didn't look up immediately, but she heard. She heard the hesitation in Laya's breath, that tiny microscopic pause before exhaling. The kind of pause that precedes a lie. "Show me what you bought," Anjali said. Her voice was calm, neutral. It was the tone she used when checking Laya's phone bill or verifying her college attendance. It wasn't an accusation. It was an audit. Laya froze mid-step toward her room. The blood drained from her face beneath the bronzer. "Nothing much," she lied, her voice too high. "Just coffee." "Then home. It won't take long." Anjali placed the folded curtains down. She turned. She walked over, her bare feet silent on the cool Italian marble floor. She didn't ask again. She reached for the bag. Laya's hand shot out. "Ma, wait." But it was too late. The zip slid open with a metallic sigh. Anjali's fingers, cool and precise, reached in. They closed around something smooth. She pulled it out. A silver pendant. A delicate chain with a lotus-shaped charm. And attached to it, blinking faintly red like a heartbeat, was a tiny white security tag. Beneath it, a receipt. No, a slip. Select City Walk. 1748, asterisk. At that exact moment, Laya's phone buzzed on the coffee table. The screen lit up. Instagram notification, at Fashion Diaries, new drop. Limited stock. The photo on the screen showed the exact same pendant. Anjali didn't speak. She reached deeper into the bag. Next came the lip gloss. Fenty Stunner lip paint and uncensored, unopened, still sealed. The price tag, 3,200 rupees, printed boldly on the sleeve. And then the final betrayal, a crumpled slip of paper tucked into the side pocket. Not a receipt. A CCTV log printout stamped with the store's internal logo. Frame. 147, female, red dress, shoulder bag, item removal. No scan. Laya's breath hitched. Her eyes darted to the hallway mirror. She saw herself. Flushed cheeks. Smudged kohl. The red dress glowing like a warning flare against the muted tones of the living room. She looked young. She looked guilty. She looked like a child playing dress-up in a thief's costume. "Who gave you these?" Anjali asked. Her voice was too low. Dangerously low. "A friend?" Laya mumbled. Her fingers twisted the hem of her crimson dress. "For my birthday." Anjali turned the pendant slowly in her palm. The light caught the silver. "This friend forgot to remove the anti-theft tag," she said dryly. "And this?" She held up the CCTV slip. "Did your friend also hack the store's security feed to print this for you?" Silence. Then a whisper. "It was just one thing." One thing becomes a habit, Anjali said. Asterisk Anjali walked to the balcony door. She locked it with a soft click. She drew the heavy ivory curtains, shutting out the golden sunset. The room dimmed. It became intimate, inescapable. Go sit on the sofa, Anjali commanded. Laya didn't move. She stood rooted to the spot. Anjali turned. Her eyes were dark, unblinking. They held no anger. They held only sorrow and a terrifying resolve. Now, Laya sat. The leather sofa creaked under her weight. She crossed her arms, her chin lifted in a practiced pose of wounded pride. But her knees were trembling beneath the fabric of the dress. Anjali disappeared into her bedroom. She returned. Moments later, Dot in her hand. She held it. Not a belt. Not a slipper. Aairbrush. Dot, it was dark teak, worn smooth by decades of use. The back was carved with faint floral motifs. It had belonged to Laya's grandmother. It had been used only twice before in Laya's life. Once when she was 10 and lied about breaking the Diwali diya. Once when she was 14 and snuck out to a rave dot. It wasn't about pain. It was about weight. It was about memory. It was about a consequence that left no bruise, only a mark on the soul. Anjali placed it on the glass. Coffee table, ... The sound was louder than it should have been in the silent flat. Stand up, Anjali said. Bend over the table. Hands flat. Fingers spread. No. Laya's voice cracked. I'm 20, Ma. You can't. I'm an adult. I can, Anjali said, stepping closer. Because I love you. Because no police cell will teach you what this will. Because the woman who designed that pendant, she is my age. She is someone's daughter, too. And you stole her trust. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. Laya's defiance crumpled like wet paper. A tear escaped, tracing a black line of coal down her cheek. Slowly, stiffly, she rose. She turned. She bent at the waist. She placed her palms on the cold glass. Her red dress stretched taut across her back. The off-shoulder neckline slipped slightly, exposing the vulnerable curve of her shoulder blade. The room was silent. Anjali raised the brush. Swish. The air parted. THWAC. K. The first stroke landed squarely. Not on bare skin, but through the thin cotton blend of the bodycon dress. It was sharp. It was deep. Laya gasped, her fingers scrabbling on the glass. Ah, thwack. Second, Anjali said. Lower. A hot bloom of sting radiated outward. Laya's knees buckled, but Anjali's free hand pressed firmly between her shoulder blades, holding her steady, anchoring her to the lesson. THWACK. Third. Laya sobbed, a raw, broken sound that tore through the apartment. Thwack. Fourth. This is for the cashier who will be questioned because of you. Thwack. Fifth. This is for the security guard who will lose his bonus if stock goes missing. Thwack. Sixth. This is for the shame you brought into this home. Laya's forehead was pressed to the glass now. Tears pooled beneath her face, distorting the view of the carpet below. Her breath came in ragged hitches. Thwack. Seventh. Thwack. Eighth. Final. Deliberate. Anjali let the brush hang in the air for a moment. The silence was louder than the strikes had been. Then, softly, straighten up. Laya rose slowly. She was trembling uncontrollably. Her dress was wrinkled, one strap dangling off her shoulder. She didn't wipe her face. She just stood there, small, exposed. The crimson fabric was no longer bold. It was accusing. Anjali placed the hairbrush back on the table. She didn't touch her daughter. Not yet. Why? She asked. Laya's voice was a whisper. Instagram. Everyone has it. The pendant. The gloss. Priya got hers gifted by her boyfriend. Ria's mom bought hers. I didn't have the money. You said no more advances this month. And I just thought ... You thought what? Anjali stepped closer. That rules don't apply to you? That stealing is just borrowing with bad timing? Laya shook her head, fresh tears falling. No, I knew it was wrong. But in the moment, it felt easy. Like no one would notice. I noticed, Anjali said, because I see you, even when you try to disappear behind filters and dresses. She picked up the pendant. She held it out. This isn't fashion, Beta. This is integrity. And you broke it. Laya looked at the tiny lotus. It looked tarnished now by her sweat, her shame. What do I do? Laya asked. You return it in person, Anjali said. You apologize. You pay the restocking fee from your savings. And you tell them exactly what you did. Laya nodded, silent, not defiant. Relieved. Asterisk the next morning, the sky was overcast. A soft gray blanket pressed down on the city. Laya stood at the entrance of Select City Walk. She was still in the red dress. Anjali had insisted she wear it again to face the version of herself who had stolen. But there were no heels. No makeup. Her hair was in a messy ponytail, barefaced. She looked younger, vulnerable. Anjali stood beside her, silent, supportive, but not softening. They met the security manager, Mr. Kapoor, in a small office near the service entrance. He was a man with kind eyes and a salt and pepper mustache. No uniforms, just professionalism. Laya placed the items on his desk. The pendant, the gloss, the CCTV slip. I stole these, she said. Her voice was clear, despite the tremor. At 5:48 p.m. yesterday, I put them in my bag without paying. I'm deeply sorry. I'll pay double the restocking fee. And if you need me to, I'll help with inventory or community service. Whatever you think is fair. Mr. Kapoor studied her. Not with suspicion, but with curiosity. He picked up the pendant. You know this design? He asked. It's part of our women artisans collection. Made by a cooperative in Rajasthan. Each sale funds a girl's education. Laya's throat tightened. No. I didn't. He nodded slowly. Most don't. He turned to Anjali. You handled this the right way, madam. We won't press charges. But she will write a formal apology letter to the store and to the artisan group. And she volunteered 10 hours at the mall's youth outreach program. Deal? Laya didn't hesitate. Deal. As they walked back to the car, Laya didn't look at the glittering storefronts. She stared at her hands, still red from gripping the steering wheel of shame. That evening, the apartment was quiet again. Laya was on her knees in the kitchen. She was scrubbing the floor tiles with a stiff brush. No music, no phone. Just the rhythmic shush-shush of bristles on marble. The scent of lemon disinfectant was sharp in the air. Anjali sat at the dining table grading student papers. But her eyes kept drifting to her daughter. The red dress was now smudged with cleaning foam at the hem. The gold hoops were removed. Laya's hair was loose and damp at the temples. After an hour, Laya stood. She wiped her hands on a towel. She walked to her room and returned with a folded sheet of cream paper. She placed it beside Anjali's chai. No words. Anjali opened it. Ma. I felt stealing made me powerful. Like I was beating the system, but all it did was make me small. Today, Mr. Kapoor showed me the pendant story. A girl named Neera, 17, carved that lotus by hand. She's saving for her sister's school books. I almost stole that. I'll start at the youth center next week, and I'll go with you to the NGO on Sundays. No excuses. Thank you for not letting me become someone you couldn't recognize. Laya, Anjali read it twice. She didn't smile. This wasn't a smiling moment, but she rose. She walked to Laya, who stood stiffly by the sink. With slow, deliberate care, Anjali reached out. She smoothed a deep wrinkle from the front of Laya's red dress. Her fingers lingered for a heartbeat on the fabric. Then she turned. She walked to the living room. The hairbrush was still on the coffee table. Anjali picked it up. She walked to the antique teak wardrobe. She opened the bottom drawer. Where winter shawls and old diaries lay sleeping dot, she placed the brush inside. She closed the drawer. Click. Conclusion. Outside. The city lights flickered on, one by one. Like stars returning after a storm, Laya stood in the hallway. She watched her mother's reflection in the full-length mirror. For the first time in months, she didn't look away from herself. She didn't check her angles. She didn't look for a filter. She just stood in her red dress, breathed, and finally, truly felt like an adult. Narrator. And so the lesson concludes. It brings us to a difficult question. In a world that tells us we can have everything instantly, what is the value of earning it? And was Anjali's method a stark return to traditional discipline, the only way to break the spell of entitlement? We'd love to hear your perspective. Do strict consequences have a place in modern parenting of adults? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time.